and welcome to Diabetes Connections in the News. I'm Stacey Sims, and these are the top diabetes stories and headlines happening now. In the News is brought to you by AG1. AG1 helps you build your health foundation first. Our top story, Tandem's Mobi pump is FDA approved. The FDA cleared the tiny pump for people with diabetes ages 6 and up. Tandem says Mobi is fully controllable from a mobile app and is the world's smallest durable AID system. It still has a button on the pump to dose. It does hold 200 units, and you use the same infusion set as with current Tandem pumps. Mobi also uses Control IQ. Limited release planned for late this year and then fully available early 2024. Learning more about a newly approved therapy for type 1 called Lantidra, 2 safety and efficacy studies found that 21 people who took Lantidra did not need to give themselves insulin for a year or more. 12 of the people didn't need insulin for up to 5 years. 9 did not need insulin for more than 5 years. Lantidra is an islet cell therapy made from pancreatic islet cells. Once the islets are isolated and treated, the preparation is infused into the liver of the recipient. Once weekly basal insulin for type 2 gets through another trial. After 26 weeks of treatment and 5 weeks of follow-up, patients on weekly insulin icodec had significantly larger improvements in their A1C than those using daily insulin. Both groups had an extremely low rate of adverse effects. These researchers say next step is FDA evaluation. A company called Fractal Health in the very early stages of developing a one-time gene therapy intended to lower blood sugar and body weight using the same mechanism as semaglutide. In other words, this company wants to deliver gene therapy that mimics the actions of Ozempic and Mounjaro, so there would be no need for weekly injections. The company aims to begin an initial human trial by the end of next year. New law in New Jersey caps how much some residents will pay for insulin and other drugs like EpiPens and asthma inhalers. It is limited to state and local workers involved in state-regulated insurance plans. The cap on insulin is $35 a month, and the law takes effect next year. We often hear that diabetes can lead to problems with your teeth, but one researcher says it might actually be the other way around. University of Buffalo researcher says there is a notable correlation between chewing functionality and blood glucose levels in people with type 2. Specifically, he found that in people with type 2 who have full chewing ability, no problems with their teeth or their mouth, exhibit significantly lower blood glucose levels compared to those who have a problem chewing. The thinking here is that chewing stimulates the body in all sorts of ways, including releasing hormones that help you feel fuller and that also help in digestion. More studies are expected. The next step of the landmark diabetes control and complications trial will focus on aging with type 1. The original DCCT clinical trial, which was published in 1993, proved for the first time that early intensive glycemic control was the key to preventing complications of type 1 diabetes. Follow-up study called EDIC, EDIC, has really yielded a wealth of information, including this suggestion, these researchers say, that it's never too late to initiate intensive control. We'll be following this closely. One of the researchers says, quote, "I think the most profound finding is that mortality in our intensely treated cohort is the same as in the general population," unquote. It is worth noting that the average A1C in this study he's talking about is 7.3. A lot more to come as they move forward in this study. More to come, but first, Diabetes Connections in the News is brought to you by AG1. I drink AG1 in the morning, and it really makes me feel like I'm doing something good for my body. You know, I'm covering my nutritional basis in a really easy way. I put it in a smoothie. I like 2 different kinds of smoothies. I have a powdered one that I just add a little bit of oat milk. That's the kind of milk I'm drinking these days, and some ice. I have another kind that has a few more steps that I like a little better when I have some more time. And that one has spinach and some mango and some other stuff in there. But whatever I'm drinking, I take a scoop of AG1, and it replaces the multivitamin, the probiotic, and so much more in one simple, drinkable habit. Since 2010, they've improved their formula 52 times in the pursuit of making the best foundational nutrition supplement possible through high-quality ingredients and rigorous standards. I also get the travel packs, so I don't have to miss a day. I just mix it in with water, and then, I feel good knowing I'm taking care of things. So if you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1, get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/Stacey. That's drinkag1.com/STACEY. Check it out. Back to the news now, and JDRF has spent the week in Washington. It is Children's Congress Week. This brings over 160 kids and teens living with T1D face-to-face with lawmakers and top decision makers. The kids and the organization are urging Congress to renew the special diabetes program and support policies to ensure insulin is available at an affordable and predictable price. The SDP is for type 1 research, comes from the National Institutes of Health. Without congressional action, the SDP will expire at the end of September. And a 23-year-old with type 1 diabetes has broken the record for circumnavigating Britain in a kayak after paddling 2,000 miles in 40 days. Dougal Gleicher beat the previous record by 27 days. He was diagnosed with type 1 when he was 19, just after winning the Oban Sea kayak race in Scotland. He's raising money for the UK-based charity Action for Diabetes. During the expedition, he live-streamed his blood sugar. Reports say, quote, on Tuesday, he was well-stocked with a bunch of bananas and a stash of cereal bars lashed to his boat, but in remote areas, it was more challenging. Around the islands off Scotland, he ran out of freeze-dried meals and survived on porridge for several days. It is the first time anyone has used a surf ski, a kayak that you sit on top of, to paddle around the country. Quick reminder, Mom's Night Out registration is open. This is my new overnight event. It's like a big sleepover for moms of kids with diabetes. And we are open for registration in Frisco, Texas, Providence, Rhode Island, and Charlotte, North Carolina. Frisco, which is right outside of Dallas, and Providence will be this October. Charlotte is in February. All of the information at diabetes-connections.com. If your city is not on that list, you can sign up for email alerts to find out where we're going next. Again, that's at diabetes-connections.com. On the podcast next week, we're talking about menopause and type 1. We just talked in this newscast about the lack of studies of people aging with type 1 diabetes. There's very little, if any, research about menopause. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the peer support that is available now while we wait for the research to catch up. And last week, I ran a repeat episode because I was traveling, but I got great responses from new listeners, so thank you so much for that. It was all about Benny going to Israel when he came home. We did kind of a debrief interview, and it was fun for me to go back and listen to that episode from 2 years ago. And that is it for In the News this week. If you like it, please share it. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you back here soon.
Diabetes Connections is a production of Stacey Sims Media. All rights reserved, all wrongs avenged.